Welcome, Libby. Thank you for helping me. I've invited Libby to come. She hasn't seen the cards at all yet. Obviously, when you use the cards, you will know your client. You will have been working with them for some time, and you want to now introduce them to the whole concept of attachment. And we are always curious about what kind of a attachment system the client has adopted. The cards are coded to emotions. One main character appears throughout all the cards, but with different coloured tops. And the tops are related to emotions. So we have secure, anxious, angry, sad, fearful, and avoidant. If you're not quite sure what you're meant to say at any given point, then you can just read the back. The same main character appears in all the cards wearing different tops in different situations, and the colours are matched to emotions. Okay, I'm going to begin by just presenting you with the pack of the cards as we take them out of the box. I'm not putting them.
A bit nerve-wracking.
So what I'd like to invite you to do is just go through, and I'm going to see what Libby has to say about any of the cards as she goes along. The first section, if you like, is about secure attachment. And again, I want you to put yourself back into the young self, and just, if you would be kind enough to read out what's on there on the card, and perhaps read the back as well each time. And I will show people this large scale in the background.
This one is secure attachment in childhood. That's the core message. My love for you is warm, constant, accepting, protective. I'm here for you. Knowing I am consistently and unconditionally loved provides me with a secure base from which to encounter life's joys and sorrows as I grow up.
What happens to you as you read that, Libby?
I suppose it feels like I know a little bit of that, but it doesn't sit. It's not something that I think, oh gosh, yes, that's a comfortable feeling.
Okay.
So I'll put that one there. This one is secure attachment in childhood. Again, the core message. I come when you call. Knowing that my cries will be heard, my needs will be met, and I will be comforted, enables me to feel safe and secure. I can make things happen.
And you see the picture of the mother. As soon as the baby cries, mum's there, I'm here, and soothes and comforts. And this, we're talking about the responsive parent.
Yeah.
Would that have been your mother?
Again, I think in some ways, yes. But again, that's not particularly comfortable, because I would think that her expectation would be that I would have to wait. That it would be as she wants it to be, not as I wanted it to be.
Got it. Okay.
So I could be crying there for quite a while.
You could be crying there for quite a while.
Yeah.
I'm just going with the flow as I work with Libby, but already she said something that is, I want to show her another card. So I'm going to keep the secure ones there, Libby.
Yeah.
And obviously, if we were doing a full session, I could spend all the time with the secure cards, but you can also kind of duck in and out, because what you've described, I want to show you this card, which is the ambivalent attachment message, which is the baby in the cot crying. The door is open, but there's nobody there.
This one says, I may come when you call, I may not. I need you to come when I cry. Sometimes you come and are loving and kind and I feel safe. But sometimes you don't come. I feel ashamed for bothering you and being needy. Yeah.
That was a definite yeah.
I may come and be angry or punish you. I need you to come, but you might shame or punish me if you do. Or I might have made you cry, and that would make me bad for upsetting you. I'm trapped.
So the baby needs the carer to come, but they're not quite sure what kind of response they're going to get if the carer, in your case, your mother, did come. Does that ring any bells?
I do remember as a child, this kind of thing, feeling like I had to manage it.
You had to manage it?
Yeah, so I would know she would be upset. So I would manage my responses. There was a particular way you had to be, otherwise you could feel shamed or punished.
If we go back to the secure, may I have
Yeah.
the cards for a
Yeah.
moment? I'm going to select a few cards because these are what we would say make a really good parent. I think they also make a very good counsellor as well.
This one is a double-edged sword, this one. So this says empathic, encouraging, empowering. I learn that my needs and emotions are normal and appropriate. I receive praise, support and encouragement. I develop confidence to try, to risk, to dare, to be me. I feel that, yes, this was encouraged, but only in the way that Mum wanted it.
Okay.
So with the singing, she would pick the songs. We'd have to practice and do it a particular way. So we were encouraged that we could be anything and do anything, but that isn't actually true either. If I chose something that I wanted to do, she would say maybe, oh, you don't want to do that. I think you'd like to do this. So I began to doubt. So even though it came across as encouraging and empowering, because you can do all these things, if I chose something different, like, for instance, I wanted to be an actress, that was an absolute no-no. So then I thought, oh, well, that's not a good thing, then I really shouldn't do that.
Okay.
So this one is strong, soft, sensitive. My carer is strong enough to bear my emotions and meet my needs without breaking. I hear their soft words and feel their gentle touch. They are sensitive to what matters to me. They help me thrive. Now, see, I would have to put this one on this side. It feels really horrible to do it. It feels really mean. And again, it's always about Mum, really. Dad would have maybe had a bit more of that, but it feels for me like it's about Mum. Like that's not a side I saw of her very much at all. So I would put that one over there. But it does feel very mean doing that. It feels like I'm a bad child for putting my mum over there. Putting that over there.
I'm just going to show you what the table looks like from Libby's perspective. Libby, if you point to the ones that really resonate with you,
So these,
and then the ones that you feel are not what you received. These are ones that were not your experience as a young child. You've put over here, and your reaction to, oh dear, I'm putting Mum over there, is explained now. So we'll return from time to time to look at this from Libby's point of view.
The next one here is caring, consistent and calm. I am seen, I am gently and lovingly held and peaceably comforted. My emotions are named, understood and validated. This brings relief, this restores my soul. Again, I think I would have to put this one here. It's not that they weren't caring, but my overriding feeling when I read that is that my emotions weren't named or understood or validated. I'm just going to offer you this card from the secure section, and it says, I value and can name and express my emotions. So that would be what a secure upbringing would do. I am taught to understand and value my emotions. They are normal. I receive empathy and learn to be empathetic. I love because I know I am loved. That's a definite one here. I would say that's the biggie. The biggie? Yeah. Do you want to say a bit more about that? Oh gosh, even when I look at this, it makes me almost want to cry. I maybe experience some of those things now, but then it wasn't about my emotions. And I love because I know I'm loved. I don't think I knew I was loved. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't love me, but the way it was portrayed, the way it was shown, was just not something that I could receive. So I think I grew up not believing I was good enough and not believing that I was loved. And they'd be mortified, absolutely mortified, if they thought that that's what I felt. I understand, I really do. I'm going to offer you some more of the ambivalent attachment cards because I suspect we might be in that area. But one of the great things is that we can look at all of them over the next session or whenever, and we can take our time because we can sometimes be secure in one situation, ambivalent in another, avoidant in another, disorganised in another, but we do tend to have one dominant way of being. I'm going to do it a little bit differently with Libby, partly for the speed of the video, and I'm going to explain the card to her and then get her to read the back and see if it rings any bells. So this one is this word unpredictable, that you were never quite sure what kind of parent you were going to meet. Would they be angry, sad, and you had to cheer them up?
Would they be happy, warm and loving, or could they be quite cold? And if you read the back of that.
Sometimes I feel loved, and sometimes I feel their anger and rejection. What mood will they be in? How can I be what they want? Yeah, definitely some of that.
Some of that.
Yeah, some of that, definitely.
And one of the things that happens when we have to, what we call scan,
Yeah, I know that one.
reading the room,
Ooh, that's a familiar one.
immediate response.
Yeah. I am hypervigilant. Ooh, that's me. My mind is scanning, my body is scanning, watching, listening, stomach in a knot. Am I okay? Are they okay? Yeah, that's a biggie. I still do that. Scanning a room, I would notice things that other people say, oh, I didn't notice that at all. And I would notice that somebody was upset, which kind of went over other people's heads. So in some ways it was a really good thing. But in childhood, I suppose it felt like it kept me safe because I would always be noticing. And so if mum was cross with Rowena about something, then I would be able to change my behaviour in order for that not to happen to me.
That was your older sister?
Yes. And then I get to be the good girl. And that felt like what it was all about, was to be the most special one, to be important. So that one's a biggie.
One of the things when we don't feel totally secure as children is that we can imagine what people are thinking.
Yes.
And this one is called projection. So this is the person saying, you want us, this could be in the counselling room, this could easily be this. You want us to finish? I'm not working hard enough. Are you upset with me? I'm overwhelming you. You're disappointed with me. It could be any relationship, really.
Yeah.
So if you...
Yeah. I am constantly fretting over what people are thinking about me. I write stories in my head, imagine the worst. I'm too much for you. I'm not enough for you. You've had enough of me. Now that's a very familiar card, because I think I've worked for years and years.
Years of therapy.
Yes, that's right. I definitely think that has been a very important, pivotal thing. Constantly working out what you need to be and what's the right thing to project to people, and always scanning their faces to see if they're happy. Might be nothing to do with me, but I would have seen it that way. So again, that's a very important one to me.
I don't know whether this is you as well. This is about anticipatory anxiety or anticipatory grief.
I imagine all the bad things that could happen. I need to be prepared to try and stop them happening. I need to work out if it's my fault to fix it. Yeah, I would definitely say there's an element of that. I imagine all. There is definitely something in that. There's definitely an anxiety. If I can do all these things and be what people want me to be, that's very much what it was like. If I could be what people wanted and do things right, like the singing, if it was good and people liked it, then that would make me special, and it would, that was a nice feeling.
I've heard that there was quite a bit in your childhood, Libbi, about pleasing your mum, particularly, getting rewards for that.
Yeah, it's all about how it felt on the inside, and if it didn't feel okay, I needed to make that feeling go away. I don't know what the feeling was, but I just didn't like that feeling on the inside. If
we just for a moment go back to the secure childhood.
Yes.
And this is the core card really for secure attachment. Just have a look, let's reflect back a bit about what you needed as a child.
Love is freely given to me. I am worthy of that love. Secure, safe, heard and held. My life is built on love and on trust. It's a rock I can stand on. I know who I am. Oh, and again, that's an interesting one. I don't think secure, heard and held were things, because I didn't know who I was. I remember once picking up and this is in my teenage years, I remember picking up a book, and one of the lines said something about, do you know you were loved? And I just burst into tears because I thought, I've absolutely no idea what that actually means. I don't think I did feel loved. It felt like I had to try harder all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Try harder to win that love or
Yes,
to
'cause
gain that love.
it somehow felt like I was different to my sisters. So everything I did felt like it wasn't quite right. You know, so I think there's that sense of trying to be a good girl.
One of the things about ambivalent attachment, which we're looking at in a bit more detail today, one of the catchphrases is the go away, don't leave me. And I'll just offer you those two cards for you to have a look at and see if they make sense. So the first one is go away. If you read the back of that.
So go away. When they make a mistake or go away on holiday or cancel our arrangements, it makes me feel so angry with them. I'm low on their priority list. My needs don't matter. They don't really care about me.
Originally, when I did that card, I was thinking about the counsellor-client relationships, because these cards are brilliant for working on the relationship within the counselling. And, you know, you could spend a whole session on the client's feelings about you when you cancel an appointment or go away on holiday. And it can trigger a lot of feelings of anger. But I didn't want it to make it too much focused on the counsellor relationship, so it could work with a romantic relationship, a partner, a child, a parent, you know, all of those things. So it's a felt thing, really.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Even into my adulthood, I remember living next door to a girl that I became very friendly with, and her husband decided to move away. I was angry with her. Well, I was her best friend. How could she leave me? And it felt really painful. And sometimes I think even when I did see her and she was struggling, I felt like I was a bit mean to her. It felt like very childish. I was almost glad that she was struggling, which is a horrible thing to say. I thought, now you know what it feels
That'll
like.
teach you.
That'll teach you. Yeah, for leaving me.
Yeah.
And I found it quite horrifying that I felt like that, but that was definitely how I felt.
So that is a sense perhaps coming from the child in you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The thought that she would be there all the time. And that felt like an over-attachment. Say they're quite intermingled, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And of course, the corollary to that is don't leave me. So that we've got the red t-shirt on for anger, but the fearful t-shirt, if you'd like to look at the same situation, you'll find on the back.
Don't leave me. When they make a mistake or go away on holiday or cancel our arrangements, it makes me feel really insecure. I'm terrified they won't come back. They'll die. I'll never see them again. Yeah. So I think that is the other one of needing to keep the contact to make sure they still like you.
Yes.
Going over in your head, or did I say this? Did I say that? Well, let me just go and check. I'll just go and knock on the door. You know, that kind of thing. So again, those two really, again, both sides, but they go together.
They
it's
do,
this swinging.
Absolutely. And it's two sides of a coin, really, isn't it? And then, of course, there is the consuming anxiety. Don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me.
My fear of being abandoned creates difficulties in my relationships. I need constant reassurance that I'm safe. I'm ashamed I'm so clingy, so needy, but I find it so hard to trust. This one would possibly happen in a counselling type situation for me. I do remember it happening where I hit this child attachment thing, and that was really, really hard. I don't like that feeling that somebody else has taken that power and that you are not in control, that actually they could do whatever, but you're like a little lapdog. Please don't leave. You know, that really, to me, that's a very scary card. So that's going to go here because it's very scary.
So how are you feeling about this, Libbi, in what we've been exploring?
I'm glad that I've had as much therapy as I have to come through this. You know, it is complex when we look at ourselves. It still has a sadness. In fact, if I'm really honest, one of the reasons I didn't have children myself was because I didn't like my childhood. And the thought of putting that onto somebody else that I would be responsible for really felt I just couldn't do that.
I hear that. That's a brave and honest thing to say. I understand what you're saying. And you've obviously done a lot of work on yourself, Libbi. I don't know if it's possible to say this. What have been the most difficult elements of therapy, and what have been perhaps the ones that helped you most, do you think?
I think the most difficult element was coming to the realisation that it was me. I suppose I got stuck for quite a long time wanting to blame other people and thinking if they could change, I would be all right. And the realisation, which was really tough, was that it was about how I viewed things. Even however all of this is, I could stay stuck in all of this, or I could say, well, now how am I going to move forward?
Yeah.
And if I didn't take responsibility and own all that stuff and be accountable for my bit of it, I was going to get stuck. That, I think, took me a really long time and was really, really painful. And yes, when I look at it, I don't like what happened. I'd have much preferred some things to be different. But if this is it, I have to find a way of living differently.
We can get stuck in a victim place, can't we?
Yes. And that would be my, on that triangle, my starting place would have been victim. So I realised that's the place I came from, and I didn't like that in other people because I think it was such a reflection of me. And again, I didn't realise that. That was the most horrible thing to admit. But once I knew it, it then felt much more freeing because I realised it was the truth that set me free, not whether I was right or wrong. And that was like... So it was almost like the worst and the best thing that happened for me in therapy was actually thinking, if I just say, yeah, I hate that, or yeah, I'm angry, I'm this, I almost felt like, if I look at it from a faith perspective, well, God knew everything, so I might as well just say it out loud. And I was thinking I was hiding it all, but I wasn't. So by saying it, it was almost like he was going, phew, at last we can help this girl. And so it felt very freeing. Once I knew it was me, then I'd had a choice. I wasn't helpless. I could actually do something about it.
That's really, really helpful. Libbi, we could go on for hours and there's lots more cards I want to share with you, but this has been so helpful. A huge, huge thank you
Thank you
to Libbi for helping us look a bit more closely at the ambivalent attachment style.